Hey guys, this is Sean with the Rhinestone World. Today we're going to be going over how to create a custom wall vinyl wallpaper border. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and draw our border out. So I went ahead and measured the wall ahead of time. So our wall is going to be about 92.5 inches long. So I'm just going to type that in up top. And right now I'm going to leave our lock ratio unlocked. That way I can set up the width and the height I want of the border first. So we're going to do 92.5 inches long and we're going to do about 6.5 inches tall. So the width of the border or the height can be whatever you want it to be. Usually the border is around 6 to 9 inches depending on how tall the wall is. So with this one we're going to do about 6.5. But again, you can change this to whatever size you think looks best. So let's go ahead and change the color up here and I'll bring my wizard in. So once we have this set up here, we're just going to use our magic pattern. So I have this opened already. If not, I can go to my Dockers and hit magic patterns, and then we'll see the Docker pull up here on the side. So using the magic patterns, I'll make a couple examples just to show you how this works. So I'm going to use this baseball pattern right here. This is a baseball 3. So when I click on this, you'll see it add the pattern to this area we just created, our wall border. So with something like this, is a lot of baseballs and it's going to take a while to weed. So one way to minimize how much weeding and how many baseballs you actually see in the border, we can resize this design. So I'm going to pull from the corner and just make this design a little bit smaller and then hit the same baseball 3. So you can see that now it has a lot less baseballs, a little bit less weeding. And once I'm done with that, I can just resize back to 92.5. And this time I'll keep that locked, but if you don't, you can just resize it back to 6.5 as well. So now we have the same size border, the same magic pattern, but a totally different look. So that's one way we can change the magic pattern look around. So the last thing I want to do is I actually don't want this whole border just to be, I don't want the black. I actually just want where the white's going to show, where the white's showing through. So right now, let's go ahead and delete that out and delete here. So just to show you, if I put a background on this, whatever color my background is, so if you have a white wall, that's what's going to show through. So instead of having this orange area, I just want the area of the blue. Some way I can do that is I'm just going to resize this inside my orange. So I'm bringing in on each side and then the same with the top and bottom. So if I hold shift, whatever I do to the bottom, it will do to the top. So now you can see that the blue behind it is actually smaller than the orange outline. So now I can just highlight my entire design, do a front minus back, oops, excuse me, a back minus front, and now it's going to cut out the design. So now it's just the blue that shows through. Right? So I don't have that extra wall vinyl or material all around it. Now I just have the baseballs as my wall vinyl. Right? So from here, this is obviously a really big cut. You don't probably want to send this all the way through at once. And once again, we can just resize this and 6.5. So with the wizard, we have a quick button to split this up for us so we don't have to cut one long piece of wall vinyl that's 92.5 inches. So, a 7-foot piece of vinyl, we can break this up. So just by hitting our split button on the wizard, I hit it once and it's going to split this design right down the middle. So now I have 2 cuts instead of one long cut. So again, it's just selecting our design, left clicking the split. We'll go ahead and split that right down the middle. And the really cool part as well is if I go to wireframe, you'll see that it's actually overlapping. So you have a little wiggle room when we're applying this vinyl. So again, we're going to do the same thing to each side now. So now we have And let me change the color just so we can see it a little bit better. So we have our blue and our orange side cut in half. So I'm just going to select my blue side and left click to split again. So now that's separated into two as well. And then I'm going to do the same to the orange. So just left click. So now we actually just split this into 4 separate cuts. However, it's all overlap, so it'll line up perfectly and give us a little room for error. Right. So now we're ready to go ahead and send this to the cutter. So we can just grab one piece at a time. We can create the templates if you want to, but we're going to save a little vinyl and just go ahead and send to the cutter as is. Alright, so I went ahead and loaded our material. So you'll see that both of the feet are under the white marking. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my cutter on. You'll see the light come on here. Then you'll hear it come on. And then it's just going to do a read of the material real quick. So when we click read material on our Great Cuts program, it's giving us the width for our material. All right, so once that's set up, we can go ahead and hit output on Great Cuts. All right, so we're just going to make sure Great Cuts 3 is open, or whatever Great Cuts we're using. So with this cutter today, we're going to use the Expert 2. So with any GCC cutter, I know I'm working in Corel X8, so that doesn't actually have an application launcher to Great Cuts. However, we can still easily do a drag and drop. So instead of going to File, exporting this design as an EPS, all we have to do is grab the part of the design we want to cut, drag down to Great Cuts, and then just drop it right in there. All right, so we're going to cut long ways. So we're going to have the shorter side facing this way. So it's set up just like we want. We'll go ahead and hit our cut objects button, read our material, and with our pressure we're going to use 70 with a speed of 60 with a 45-degree blade, and we're just going to hit output. Alright, so once we have our first one set up, we'll just go ahead and repeat this process. So again, I'm just simply grabbing, hovering over my Great Cuts logo, dropping it in, and just delete the old one, line up the new, read our material again, everything else should remain the same, and then we can go ahead and click output. Alright, so once we get the vinyl weeded, we're just going to go ahead and take our wall vinyl application tape. So again, this is a little bit different from your decal application tape, and we're just going to put it right on top of the design, measure it out, and then go ahead and just cut then we can go ahead and flip it over and apply it to our vinyl. Then we can take our squeegee tool as well. That's coming off, perfect. So now we'll go ahead and trim this down. So now we have our first piece done, and we're ready to apply to the wall. Alright guys, so we're in the action cam now. So now we're just going to apply this wall vinyl. So I went ahead and took it off the whole sheet first. And what I'm going to do is just find my corner, adjust the camera a little bit. So I'm just trying to sneak that vinyl right up there. It's nice and even. Alright, so once we get that lined up, we'll just go ahead and give it a nice press. And then once we got it stuck like that, we'll go ahead and grab our tool. Alright, so now we're just going to add our second piece. So again, it's just going to line up. We're just going to do a slight overlap. And just apply pressure to the rest of the design. So just like that, we have our finished product. Can't see any of the overlaps. And again, this was created just with magic patterns and our wall vinyl.